Thanks for tuning in to Raising Bosses. I'm your host, Shauna J. Ray. Here on this podcast, we discuss changing our mindsets, growing a business while raising a family. If that's what you're interested in or currently doing, please stay tuned for what we have ahead. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. It's Shauna J. Ray. Thank you for listening to Raising Bosses. Here I have today Danielle Kim. She is a photographer of Lotus and Lily Photography out in Colorado. She has 4 little ones that she is raising right now while pushing her business out there. So I'm going to give her the floor and we're going to start talking. Thank you, Danielle, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be part of the podcast and kind of share a little bit about me and my mompreneur life.
Yes, I love that word, mompreneur. I love that word so much. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, Danielle.
So I am a photographer by trade. That is my full-time job now. Making money off of it. I recently took a leap this year, I think, and just kind of dove into doing it full-time. Gigantic leap. I have 4 little ones. So definitely kind of just the universe aligning this year and giving me a chance to really focus on my passion and believe in myself a little bit more, push myself really hard, and just make it happen for me and my babies.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love all the verbiage that you used in that. So you said you've been a photographer full-time for a year. How long have you been doing photography, and what were you doing before photography?
So I've been doing photography total, I guess, 5 years. Happened upon it. My sister bought me a camera when she moved to Hawaii so that I can share pictures of my little ones with her. Before photography, I was in childcare. I had an in-home daycare. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, I guess. The in-home daycare was more just so I can be with my kids and make money at home. And I liked it. I love working with kids. But then as I played with my camera more and more, I fell in love with it. Was kind of teetering the line between, doing it as a hobby, doing it for friends, and then started charging. And really this last year, I kind of just had a position or a chance to kind of make a really huge decision. My daycare was going great, but then my photography was really picking up and I had to kind of pick where my passion was. And so, dropped the daycare and now just focusing on my photography. A little bit scary, but I'm determined to just do it full time now.
That is beautiful. Like I was telling you earlier, for those of you that don't know, I also have been dabbling in photography. It was actually one of those hobbies that I picked up as a kid. It was a different situation. My godfather used to get me cameras. He'd always get me a new digital camera, and I'd go outside and I'd take pictures of the sky, and I loved it. It's just like an art. I'm a very creative person.
Yeah.
And I always said, one day I'll get a nice camera. So I also have my YouTube channel, Shauna J. Ray, and I wanted to upgrade my camera from my phone, from my little vlog camera I bought from the pawn shop, and I bought an entry-level DSLR, nothing fancy. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make this camera work for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to, start taking pictures. So I take pictures of my friends and things like that. I mean, it's only been a year. I did make some money off of it. I did do an event. So I was so excited when you said that. I was like, oh, I'm going to really learn something today. I need all the info, all the deets to be able to talk face to face with another photographer is beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially an established one. You know what I mean? That's beautiful. And I'm so glad to hear that, you went from one entrepreneurial move to the next.
Yes.
That says a lot. So, what you did tell me why you wanted to do photography. Like you told me that was my next question, but I love how you already answered that question for me. So how exactly did you set it up for you to become a photographer, or what moves did you make to start establishing yourself as a photographer?
I think, so being a photographer is interesting because a lot of it is just your eye, like what you're seeing. Obviously, my kids are beautiful, so taking pictures of them, little things they were doing around the house, kind of just documenting life. Then, of course, it kind of flew naturally because I had the daycare and I had a lot of kids around. So I started just saying, hey, do you want birthday pictures? Do you want pictures of family pictures for Christmas? And so I had to just kind of be brave because, being a photographer, you only get better by shooting. You have to practice. So you can't like wait till you're good. You have to like get out there and start doing it and just trusting. And, you don't have to charge crazy amounts, but I was like, yeah, I'll do it. $50 here, $50 there. And obviously the more I shot, I had no formal training before, just YouTube and practice. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, we love your eye. I was like, oh, okay. So, more and more people started spreading the word, all word of mouth. And I just started falling in love, I guess, with more than just the babies. So I started doing like couples that I saw. And everyone that I saw that I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are cute. I want to take your picture. So I did a lot of free stuff in the beginning, a lot of cheaper stuff. And then, I just started believing in myself, networking with tons of photographers, learned a ton from every photographer I worked with. And then last summer actually 2 summers ago, I got to work at a studio for the summer. So on the weekends I would work at a senior portrait studio, and that was like school. So I was almost like getting paid to go to school for photography. So from there, last year I did 32 weddings on my own. So that's why I was kind of like, I had to make a choice because I was doing daycare all week, doing weddings Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how it started. And then just practice, believing in myself. And the hardest thing I think was getting to a point where I valued my work as much as the other photographers I was working with. And so that's why this year I was like, you know what? I've been shooting with them. I did tons of weddings. My stuff is quality stuff. So let me just charge what I know I deserve to charge and stop the daycare and just really focus on it.
Wow. I'm literally shocked. I wish I could see my face right now. Y'all don't know what a photographer charges for weddings.
A lot of money.
She made that money. I would have, listen, what? Yeah. By yourself nonetheless?
Yes.
Oh my, I keep telling my husband, I'm like, listen, if I get a wedding, I'm grabbing you a freaking little camera.
Yeah.
A decent little camera.
Get him just so I can shoot with you.
Yes, because I'm so shocked. I'm so stressed to do it by myself when I did the event by myself. And it was a bit, much. And I was also there for my friend, you know what I mean? So it was like trying to and I set up like a little studio area on the inside. Mm. But I learned the same way from YouTube. I actually did a couple of courses on Allison.com, things like that. And I learned a lot because I already knew certain things and I pick up quick. But the thing that always got me was like certain things they don't always tell you. You know what I mean? Like the networking thing, like that's great. But like the way you said working with them and working at a studio, that's like, my sister, she wants to be a vet. So one of her jobs was working at a shelter or a kennel or whatever. So it's like, that makes so much sense. Like I never even thought of that. So if anybody's listening who's a photographer, like that's huge. Well, oh my gosh, mind blown. Mind just blown. And I love the whole, like you said, you networked with so many people. And like that's my biggest issue has been with the photography because it is a physical thing. I know that I can move with it. So like I told you, my husband moves a lot for work. Mm-hmm. So I wanted something that I could take because I do sew, and that was my first passion, my first business. And it's like, I realized the overhead for that is so extensive that I have to figure something out where I can have time and make the money to have the space to always have it move with me or have a set spot for it or something. So photography was going to be one of those movement things. Excuse me. But now I live an hour away from my friends and I shoot for my friends, and it's like scheduling is haphazard, or like I get with them, but it's, something goes wrong, awry or whatever. And it's like I'm trying to find all different ways to network in my area now. It's like you said, the practice. I noticed from my beginning pictures, I did a maternity shoot I have a maternity shoot that I did. A friend of mine who just moved, she helps me with like so much stuff. And it was beautiful. And then now that I look at it and I've learned different things, I'm like, oh, I could have done this much better. I could have done that. Not that I can't go back and like fix the editing. It's more or less the editing. But, not so much the shooting of it, but the editing of it. I was like, oh, I've learned this, and this. Yeah. So it's like, oh, like, you're just blowing my mind. I'm so glad I got to talk to you on this. So glad you, responded to this, to do this with me. Yeah. So you're a mother of 4.
Mm-hmm.
and you've already, like you said, you learned from YouTube and everything. What challenges did you face? Like, I know you said you had the in-home business, but juggling kids and schedules and other side of work and things, trying to be a photographer when you were becoming established. How did you manage, or what pros and cons did you have?
So I think so. The biggest struggle for me, the point to where I was started to really establish myself, unfortunately, came kind of hand in hand with me splitting from my ex and becoming a single mom. So it was kind of like a little fire under my butt on one side because I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of the situation. I need to make stuff work. But on the other side, just kind of scheduling 4 kids is a lot. And so I at one point I did move to Austin, Texas, and so I was kind of on my own. That's when we were going through our split, kind of becoming a single mom. I moved back to Colorado to be with closer to my family so they can help. Because I was like, I really want to take this leap. Like you said, photography is something you can move with, so you're not stuck anywhere. Um, Clientele, is different because I'm coming back and having to build up clientele where I am again. But I have family, so they were able to help with like watching the kids. So obviously, wedding industry, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not typically all the way during the week. So I think just kind of making sure that my parents didn't feel like my kids were a burden to them, because it was like they had to have them every weekend, Friday through Sunday, and I was shooting every day. And then also balancing it with me working. I was literally working 7 days a week. Doing my daycare, I closed on Fridays, but then doing my photography. So I guess just finding a balance between still having time to be a mom and pushing, this business that I've started believing in and knew it's unlimited income, what you put in, what you charge, your quality is what you make. So I knew it wasn't like anything I'd be stuck in. I would feel stuck in rather, like, okay, I'm only going to make this much. I knew that it was something that I can establish like a healthy financial situation for me and for kids and not have to be stressing, like waiting for the next paycheck. I think I'm different from a lot of people, and I feel like women that are entrepreneurs, they might have that spirit. So I didn't feel like some people feel where you have to like jump back into a regular 9 to 5 and have that security. Because for me, that was the opposite. Like I felt like that would make me feel stuck. So security for me was knowing that I don't have a roof financially. And so I think that was really just the pros and cons, really scheduling time. And my other biggest thing was learning how to, because now I knew I was taking a leap with being a single mom, a leap with doing my own business. I had to learn how to charge what my work was worth.
So, do you ever travel for your photography work? Because doing weddings, I know a lot of people travel abroad sometimes, or just in general. How do you manage travel with the 4 kids?
So again, my family is a big help. I have a really supportive man in my life right now. So everyone's just kind of helping support my dreams right now. I have plan to do, and I'm going to do a lot of traveling with photography. Last year on Valentine's Day, I was in Paris and I did an elopement in Paris, which was amazing because I kind of made it like a Valentine's birthday shoot. My birthday is coming up on Friday.
Oh, beautiful. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. So yeah, I got to go to Paris and Europe. I went to Paris, Amsterdam, and Spain. I did 3 shoots. I'm always looking for ways to get out of Colorado. I love Colorado, but I just love seeing different stuff. So I network in photography groups all over the U.S., see if people even need me as a second shooter for weddings, if there's couples doing like destination weddings. So far I've been to Europe, been to Hawaii, I'd done a wedding in Atlanta, a couple in Austin, partially because I knew a lot of people there, and Florida. And you guys are? Oh, cool. Yeah, so this year I have 2 out-of-state ones planned so far, but I'm hoping to get 2 more. My goal is 1 international one and then 3 just somewhere outside of Colorado.
Beautiful. Oh, I can't wait to travel for any of the things that I'm trying to build right now. Like, I love to travel. My mom's a traveling baby. Oh,
Yes.
that sounds amazing. I think Paris is actually my first on my list for this
Um,
year. I'm like,
Gorgeous.
no, I told my husband we're getting the freaking passports. We are traveling.
Yes.
I'll travel without you. Like
Yes.
out of the country travel, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
Paris, I wrote it down the other day. Paris is on my list. My sister just came back from Paris. My sister is an established social media model, and like, or
Oh,
she's more than a social media model, but she's up there. So
yeah.
she went to Paris. Oh, I can't wait to go. That
It
is
is beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you for all these good vibes.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to Paris now. I'm just kidding.
Yes, go to Paris. And actually, Amsterdam. I would say on top
My
of Paris,
husband would love that. He's always wanted
Amsterdam
to
was
go to
gorgeous.
Amsterdam.
Gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful. I love Europe in general.
Yeah.
Europe in general for me is just like all the way. Like I need to go. Just
Yeah.
leave me there for like a year. I actually wanted to take a Mediterranean cruise there.
Oh, yeah.
Or around there. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
So what are your long-term goals? I mean, you've been in this for 5 years. What are your long-term goals with you and your family in photography?
Long-term goals, I think I really just want to establish myself as a wedding photographer. I think I do everything. So I do a little bit of everything. I do babies, families, maternity. But I guess I want to get to a point long-term where I'm shooting less, but shooting weddings that are like really highlights for me and making money so I can enjoy life and travel with my kids and my significant other. And just, I want to have time freedom, money freedom, and do what I love. So really just a combination of those three things is long term. I think photography, something has no age on it. You can do it forever. And so that's a blessing. And, I also want to be able to get to a point where when I'm doing these overseas trips and stuff, I can take my kids and do family trips and get learning experience out of it. So that, it's more, it's enriching for them as well.
Oh, beautiful. You sound like me. That's exactly what I want, because I hate when people say, oh, when you have kids, oh, I guess you can't travel. I actually want to be one of those families. My kids are homeschooled as of the last 2 years. And I'm like, that's going to make it easier for me if I can build something, especially digital, and go out and travel with my kids. Because why do I have to wait one and then hinder them from being around the world, like going around the world? Why do I need to hinder them? Like, yes, it's more expensive, but that's why I need to make money.
Exactly. And they learn so much, I homeschooled my oldest for 2 years. He's 9 now. But now they're going to a school that does kind of a co-op. So it's a performing arts school. They have the option to be in school full-time, or they can do homeschool and go for the arts. So right now they're in school full-time, but I have that flexibility. I know I can take them to the homeschool portion. They can still have the same friends, still come to school every once in a while, and still focus on the arts. So that school has been a huge blessing because, like last October, I took them to England with me to do a shoot, but they also got a little vacation. And, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, when you have kids, you're just stuck. Like, finances are so hard. Your traveling days are over. A lot of people, I had kids, started having kids at 23. So everyone's like, you're so young. Like, you missed your 20s. But I'm like, I didn't miss anything. Like, I can travel and do as much as I can with them. And it's enriching for them. Like, it's so much more enriching for them to go out and see different cultures and see different languages and experience different foods. And, people get confused. Like, people are just like, oh my gosh, you're always traveling and you have 4 kids. I'm like, yeah, but you make a way for what you want. I believe that 100%. I believe that 100%. You manifest what you want. So if I want to take them to Europe with me, I'm going to make enough money to take them to Europe with me.
You are saying so much of all the right things to me right now. Like, are you me? Are you telling me something where you sit here to tell me this? I love everything that I am hearing because I wholeheartedly believe manifest all the words. And I love that you homeschool so you understand that aspect, what I'm talking about. So it's like, I love that you have that school too, because actually the school that I wanted to send her to, I always wanted to homeschool because I was homeschooled. But the school before we left to go to California was a performing arts school, like a charter or a magnet or something like that.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter is the biggest performer you ever will see. Like, I already know this. And I want to push that and help that. And it's like you said about the cultural thing, I have always loved to know and learn about different things and people, and I want that for my kids. That's why I said earlier, I don't want to hinder them from not traveling. Like, you got it. You're like, oh, I take them out of school. That's one of the things that I'm like, oh, we travel. My husband travels for work anyway, and he's like, oh, come here. We left to go to California. We came back, whatever. So it's like, I want to be able to, even if it's in state or in our country, they still, every state has something different to offer. Everywhere has something different to offer. Like you said, oh, I just love everything that you're saying. Just all the right things.
We're kindred spirits.
Yes.
So I wasn't homeschooled. I kind of wish I was, but my parents, they came from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, so island. Okay, good.
A tiny island, and so like America was like a new experience for them. So I felt like, and luckily they're really open to how, just me raising my kids, because they learn so much culturally coming to a new place. So that kind of ignited me wanting to like learn about so many other different cultures and let them learn. And also like my kids are very mixed, so they have a little Chinese in them. I just want them to learn and love all parts of them and all parts of the world and people. And one of the biggest blessings I'd say is even letting them learn that friendships and bonds don't have to be tied to where you grew up or where you go to school. Like my daughter, she has her best friend lives in San Diego. So I met another mom, and they moved to a different state every year. They move to a different state every year, and they just travel. And so it's kind of nice. They don't see each other every day. They don't get to play at recess every day. But we always take like one trip and meet them somewhere random. And, it just kind of gives them a different outlook on relationships and bonds. And, there's just so much that I think this world, you feel like you have to do things a certain way. And there's really so many different ways to do stuff and experience life.
I completely agree. It's so funny that you say that. So a lot of people would argue that the kids, they need stability. And I believe in stability. But also the stability can be that my parents are there and I get to do this with them.
Yeah.
My daughter, we lived in the same house for the first 8 years of her life. And I love that I was able to do that. I'm not disagreeing. But growing up, I lived somewhere for 4 years, somewhere for 5 years. Then we moved, to Orlando. And I've been in Orlando for over 20 years. I moved to Georgia for about a year. And I have always had a friend in that state that I lived in, and I stayed in touch with them. So my best friend since I was 8 years old, she stayed in Virginia and came here. But that was back when we would write each other letters, and we'd call each other every night. And then, teenagers, we got cell phones. Obviously, we came back and forth. We've even spent a summer together. Whereas my daughter has a best friend that she literally grew up with her entire life. We were pregnant. Me and her mom were pregnant together.
Wow.
We were very close friends. And now they just moved from Florida. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, but the beauty of it is now they have FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yes, they're going to come and visit. Yes, we're going to go and visit. But we have FaceTime. They talk to each other on Skype and all this. And so I love that because sometimes they just sit there and do crafts together, Nowadays it's so much easier to raise kids far apart. Not raise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And keep them, if they have distant relationships, that's beautiful because, they don't really miss each other, just the physical part, and then you go and you have fun with them. And I like to see other parents that, I heard a term called world schooling.
World schooling, yes. I think I've heard that. I love it.
I love that. I want to be a world schooler. I want, I always tell people, oh, what about socialization? And it's like, first off, in school, you don't get to socialize. You sit down, you be quiet, and you read this book, you listen to this lecture, and then recess for 45 minutes, and then a half an hour of lunch. Then you can socialize, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, but when you're world schooling or even homeschooling, my daughter will tell you she loves it because some days I'm running errands, and she has to do her work in the thing, but she can say, "Help me, come here, come there." That's how I was with my mom.
Yeah.
Or like I have specific programs that I take them to, like at the library where they meet other homeschooled children, or their extracurriculars, dance and gymnastics and things. And they get to meet new friends, and they get to actually, play and learn with them. And they aren't stuck to anything, they get to, I always tell people too, I would have never really had friends from school. Even when I went to school up until 5th grade, I don't have friends too much from school.
Yeah.
Most of my friends were made at work, out and about, going to extracurriculars. Like I was telling somebody the other day, I have these friends, they're twins. We went to Taekwondo together. We took the after-school bus together from the same school. And we were only a grade apart. I think we had recess together, but I didn't actually meet them from school. Met them from my extracurricular. So it's
Yeah.
like people don't realize, I just want to like put that out there. Sometimes when people hear the word homeschooling, they think lock you in the room and you sit in there and you do your work and you never go
No.
outside to play. Nobody is outside. Nobody sees them. That's
Yeah,
not how it
they're
is.
like secluded.
Secluded, exactly.
Not.
Like that's not it. My kids are everywhere, and plus
Yeah.
because we don't live inside of Orlando anymore, but we have so much friends and family there. We travel back and forth an hour, at least once a week, to go
Yeah.
see everybody or whatever I've got going on. And so they travel around or Florida all the time. We go to Miami, all the time, and
Yeah.
Georgia and things to see family. So it's like with homeschooling, it is easier to just kind of up and move your kids. And I think that's another reason why people are afraid to travel with their kids, because when you think about it, if your kid is in school 9 months out of the year,
Mm-hmm.
it will hinder them with their work, with truancy, if they do miss, because you want to go to Europe for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They can't miss 2 weeks of school.
Yeah.
You can't just uproot your kid for 2 weeks from school and say, hey, we're going to go, go around Europe or wherever, Paris or whatever. But they can, you can just grab them and say, hey, grab your books, grab your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you do an hour of telling my daughters, like, when we do start traveling, you're going to have an hour set aside at this part of the day or whatever to do this work, and then we'll go out and have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I think that's what people think, and it's like 9 months a year, so you only have, several months a year to actually travel with them, and it's holidays, and they're packed, and they're ridiculous, and you're rushing, and so then it makes it no fun to travel, because then you're like, oh, this is the 1 week a year I get to travel. There is nothing, you know what I mean? So I'm starting to like realize why people feel so trapped with having kids. Because I was also a young mother. Me and my husband were 20 and 21 when we had our first daughter, and she's 9 now. And
my oldest is 9 too.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, we had her very young, and I always wanted to travel, and like my husband is starting to learn how to come out of the whole we are trying to build ourselves up from, when we had our kids young. But it's like, I never felt trapped. I never felt like, oh, I actually preferred the summers when I could run around with her. And I started working at home 4 years ago. And in the summertime, since I was off in the day anyway, I was able to run around with my kid and do stuff with her instead of throw her in a school for 8 hours a day and figure out what I needed to do in life or do my errands on my own. Yeah. And it's like the summer came and I was like, oh no, waking up super, super ridiculous early, even if I did at the time, but no, I didn't have to, and then ship her off somewhere. Yes. You know what I mean? So that's like really amazing. Like, oh, I love to see people that are on that same level with me. I'm sorry, I'm going on. It always turns into something else. It's like, oh, now we're going to talk about this. So let me see. Next question. So actually, we were talking about long-term goals. Have you ever thought about maybe teaching, we're speaking on the digital aspects because, like I told you earlier, I would like to do certain things digitally, so I have the money to do my physical stuff with ease. Have you ever thought of like Udemy or whatever, and making courses on that, or maybe making material to teach others? Have you ever?
So I guess even like just thinking about expanding, I haven't thought about teaching. I have seen options. I think I'm good as a mentor. Not so much hosting a course, but I could be undervaluing myself. I think one thing that I did think about as far as maybe a possibility in the future is actually just being able to like send photographers to weddings, because I also I love planning things. I love planning events. So I'm like, if I ever get to a point where I'm busy and growing, like I don't mind being the person that shoots a couple weddings, but also steps back and is able to help other photographers get weddings booked and send them out and help organize weddings and stuff for them.
That's a fabulous idea, because I don't think I've come across a platform for people to be able to do that, and that is actually very important, kind of like a staffing agency. I think that is something really amazing that you could probably do pretty easily, since you are very well networked. Yeah. And, word of mouth and things like that. I think, that would be a great stepping stone. And the mentoring thing, I think mentoring is great too, because like I stated earlier, with FaceTime, with video chat and things like that, you are able to kind of like, hey, I need help real quick. How do I use this with my phone, my camera? Speaking to somebody that needs help with those type of things. We would need someone to call. We would need someone to be like, I'm about to do this wedding and I'm the only one shooting. What do I do? And I think that someone being able to come to you and, maybe, I'm not trying to give business advice, but I'm trying to like low-key give business advice. I think being a person that has benefited from speaking to you, I think that would be something beautiful to talk about on your page. Maybe open that up to network on the groups, you know what I mean? And say, hey guys, I'm in Colorado, if you're in Colorado, but if you're not, DM me and we can chat and, do these things and open that up and make an extra buck that way. Because consulting, I used to be in fitness marketing. And not me personally, but I was an office assistant for a fitness marketing company. And I learned a lot there. I learned probably what you would learn getting your AA in business. And I kept looking at these people getting this consultation from these people that did run their own fitness company at one time, that did own gyms and whatever you want to talk about in fitness. These people did that. And then they would do consulting calls and calls to help them build those businesses. They had programs that it was a done for you. Like, here, read this and figure the rest out. Call me if you need me. And I always thought that was ridiculous because I was like, they don't need that. There's YouTube, this, that, and the third. Like, why would they need to talk to you? Yeah. And being in this self-help journey, being in an entrepreneurial journey, I realized that we do need mentors, consults. We do need things like that. Okay, so and I would think that was ridiculous. And, I learned that we need that. I learned that sometimes, the one thing that has helped me is the groups on whatever my passion was. Is like I get to see things that you don't find in the YouTube videos, things that you don't find in the blog posts about said passion, that you find from personal experiences with people. But then there's like thousands of people giving their personal experiences. Sometimes you need that person that is a kindred spirit or in the same realm as you. That was one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, that you can speak to and learn from. And mentoring is nothing to be sneezed at. They make money. You can do an hour a day and two weddings a month, and you would have your bills paid and be sitting on cash. So it's like, I know that works. It's not said, I'm not saying this because, whatever. I have helped people learn things. And I realized to myself, it's like, I need to make sure I start like understanding I'm worth something. Like you said earlier, I love that you said, maybe I'm undervaluing myself, because a lot of times we say, no, I can't. And we don't even think to ourselves, but what if I can? But what if that is actually the thing that works for me? You said, no, I can't. But then what if you get on Udemy and you're like, well, dang, now I don't have to do but, a wedding a month, because now Udemy is paying me, or whatever this, your course situation is. Or maybe you say, you know what, let me set up this mentoring. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure I've seen you on one of those groups. And what if I was that person that said, oh my God, I need her to mentor me. She's a homeschooling mom. I need her to mentor me. I need tips. She does exactly what I want to do. I need those tips. I need to speak to her one-on-one for more than an hour for her podcast interview.
That's actually, you gave me actually a lot of stuff to think about. Now my wheels are like turning, really.
I love to turn wheels. I mean, as a mom, I'll just explain to you quickly my why. Like I said, my first passion was sewing. I've been sewing since I was 5. I've been designing clothes since I was 12. I wanted to be a fashion designer. But the overhead and the time was a lot for me when I became a mom, even though my first daughter was no real issue. So I often struggled with trying to do everything in the house. And at the time I was working until she was about 5 years old, I was working outside the house. So trying to come home, trying to do this, like you said earlier, your parents, I did the same thing. The grandparents have them. My husband, he's off work, take the kids and run around. But it was like too much. I never got time to do anything. Or, when I did finally start pursuing it, it was very difficult. And I always said, well, if I worked at home, it would be great. But now I work at home for the last 4 years, and I'm stuck to my computer because I have to actually work my 9 to 5. Then I still have so many hours left in the day, and I find myself staying up all night, not having enough time and energy in the morning for my kids, trying to work all night, having the weekend to rush. So I was like, well, I need something that I can kind of, with the lack of a better word, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
I need something digital that I know that I can say, I've done the work, I maintain it, but it's making my money for me. So that's when I started looking into passive income and learning about, digital things that will make me money. So I have my YouTube channel. I make a little coin from there. Not big, I'm not huge yet. I have, I just started my blog. I have ads on there, I do affiliate programs. I just started, so I'm not making a buck on there yet. But once it has been established, I will have people continuously coming, clicking on links, buying products, and it's not something that I have to focus 8 hours a day on.
Put energy on, yeah.
I put a couple of hours a week into it. I write a few posts, I type them up, I push them out to be scheduled, and then, the rest does its own work versus me consistently working for an hour. So I still work at home, but I am like trying to branch out. I wanted to start my podcast, and that's also going to be another rung on my passive income thing, because now I can talk to somebody for an hour, maybe one or two interviews a day, if I can get that, get there. And then once I am established, maybe I will get, sponsorships, and I'll have ads and things like that where I'll be making more money on it. And it's almost set it and forget it. You maintain it. You throw another podcast, interview on there every week or twice a week, and you set it and forget it. So I think for you have given me a lot of information as an aspiring photographer that I think you would actually be undervaluing yourself if you didn't spread your word. If you didn't share, even if you did like a mom photographer thing. Even if you did such a niche down subject or section of photography, I think you still would do amazingly, because a lot of women are mothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even in the realm of just being a mompreneur.
Yeah. I started a blog, and I didn't know my direction. Like, I started off kind of just reflection. I started January 1st when I was like, okay, no more daycare. Let me worry about photography. So, maybe the mompreneur side is a way to focus on it.
Definitely.
Focus.
This podcast was going to be a mompreneur podcast, and then I realized that my dad and my grandfather are the two biggest entrepreneurs in my life, that I was raised around watching them. And I said, I can't exclude the men. I can't, because one, I need to talk to them. That. I'm not going to sit here and not talk to them and pick their brains. But, I realized I have to include that. Now, not saying the moms are, cut off, but I was like, I needed a blend. But it's still, my focus is parental entrepreneur. And, we kind of don't realize what that means until you have, for the lack of a better explanation, until you have a baby hanging off of you and you have a whole line of clothes to come up with in a week, 2 weeks before you have a fashion show. That was my life.
Yeah.
I had a whole 6-month-old hanging off of my hip night and day. I'll say hip because, this is not an explicit podcast. But she was hanging off something else. Okay? And I'm trying to sew. And she's waking up every 2 hours. And I had literally 2 weeks to get a whole fashion line out for my first fashion show. So it's like we don't realize how much work goes into being a parent and being an entrepreneur. And we undervalue ourselves, because I love your wording on that. And we think that we can't do something, or we think that because we have kids, it's going to be a no-go. But it's just going to be, what did you say earlier? You got to find out how to work around that.
Yeah. I think, you even put another good point. I think, because like you said, you have like your dad, you said about your dad and your grandfather as your entrepreneurial examples. I think sometimes when you grow up in a family like that, because mine would be my mom, and so just thinking back about my challenges, like I was like, it's actually a little bit more of a unique situation too, because even like though I'm doing my weddings on the weekends, it's not like, because my mom, she owns her own business. It's not like the typical grandparent, like either they might be retired now or she has Saturdays and Sundays off, technically, because she still has to make sure her businesses are running. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like a pro and a con, like I was saying before. Like they have this flexibility since my mom and dad own a family practice. Like they can help me when they need help, but then I also have to be like, okay, like if emergencies go down, if other stuff happens, like I know they're not technically, when you own your own business, you're not kind of like off for certain days. You're kind of on every day. Um, so it's definitely been like them that they've been sacrificing and helping juggle even more than I thought about. And it kind of just sparked my thought about that when you said that. Because we get a lot of entrepreneurs, either they have examples from family or from around them that kind of spark that spirit, the entrepreneur spirit in them.
We don't always realize I used to actually work with my grandfather in one of his businesses when I was 5. And my mom, not that she has, I don't know if she's owned a business. Maybe she might have when I was younger, or done something. But like she's always pushed for that part because she also watched her dad do the same thing. Yeah. So I think that's a lot of reason why it was so easy for me to drop down into it. Not to rush you, but to rush myself because I'm talking way too much. And okay. I still have like a couple of questions here, and I have to go to work. I'm not rushing you. Please don't think that I'm rushing you.
Yeah, no. It's fine.
And I know everybody. I feel like we could just talk podcast. Sorry.
So I feel like if we keep going, like we could just talk forever. So we can.
I'm not opposed to that, but we're gonna have to do it on the podcast because I want everyone to learn from it, and I want you to come back on here and let us know about your mentoring programs. But speaking on that, what are some of the projects that you're currently working on, or like you said, a blog, or that you're gonna have working on in the future? Hopefully, a mentoring program.
Mentoring is on my list, on my mind. I'm going to have to get that on my vision board now.
Saying all the right words, guys. Vision board.
I guess current projects for myself. So when I decided to dive into it full time, I also did a huge rebrand. So I just dropped my old name. Everyone's like, why are you changing everything? So why don't you have all your pictures up? So I think my biggest project right now is branding. I want to brand the right way. I want to brand effectively so that, I'm showing people who I am so that people see the name and they recognize it and they're like, I want that photographer.
The name Lotus and Lily Photography, I just want to make sure y'all keep her in your ear.
Yes.
Yes, I understand that completely. Branding has been a thing for me too, especially starting starting the blog and everything because that is a separate entity from Shauna J. Ray. Shauna J. Ray is my social. That's my forefront. You know what I mean? This is who she is, Shauna J. Ray. But these are things she does, and that's her boss is. So that was kind of my brand situation there, and I actually physically just changed my brand, and I don't know, I might change it again. My actual logo, I'm sorry. So it's like, but yeah, rebranding is important branding because you want people to know you like the Pepsi logo.
Yes.
You want them to know your name. You want them to know they can't see those colors without thinking about you.
Yeah.
So that's important. Or those shapes or whatever it is in your logo or whatever you've got. So keep that in mind, guys, that if you're listening, like branding and logos and things like that are very important. Look into lots of YouTube channels about learning more about branding. Was that all the things that you wanted to talk about on what you're doing next until I move on to the next question?
Yeah, I think that's my main thing. I feel like, so previously I just used my name for my photography company, and I feel like I didn't want to, again, I felt like I put a roof on myself, and that's kind of weird, just saying I was using my name, putting a roof on myself. But I think because on my long-term goals, I was like, I might not be shooting every wedding. I might be sending people and just helping book it. So I didn't want my name to be all of it. Like I do want people to know me as a photographer, but I wanted my photography company to just have a little bit more of an open sky.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's very important. That's very important. I like that. So we're kind of on the same page there too. I love that. So what advice would you have for a new photographer? Things that you wish you would have known when you first started?
For a new photographer, I would say do not get stuck in just the trends, what's trendy. when you're a photographer, you always have inspiration. So I think that's okay to have inspirations, like photogs you look up to, you might follow on Instagram, follow on YouTube. Um, but I feel like don't get stuck in feeling like, oh, I love that person's photography, I'm going to shoot just like them. I think it's important to find what you actually might love or like. For instance, like forever, I love natural light photography, and I feel like that's my natural gift. I love working with natural light, but there were points.
I also don't have a strobe yet.
You need one. So like, I think so. I think I got so stuck. I was great at it, naturally good at it. I can understand lighting in the sun, and I practiced with photographers and on YouTube how to understand natural lighting. But I had to step out of my comfort zone a couple times and not just be like, I think it's good to niche yourself, but it's good to learn. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try using some off-camera flash, and I'm going to try my strobes. I'm going to try shooting in the dark in an alley and see if I can make this work.
My weak spot.
Yeah, definitely one of my weak spots too, but I feel like as a new photographer, try different things, try different styles, and make sure that you're not holding yourself back, because you might think, oh, I'm a great natural light photographer, and you might end up being like this light whiz and know how to work the stuff and position different lights and reflectors, and you might be a whiz at that. So I think just be open to learning all different styles would be my biggest advice. And then my second biggest would be like, don't be afraid to put your work out there. At first I was, because I was like, oh, it just looks horrible. And it can be kind of heart-wrenching at first. But if you put it out there, you can get creative criticism, and then you can compare your work later. So I think just kind of be willing to take a leap and put your stuff and let people tell you what they think about it.
I know I'm still talking too much, but you've made a really good point that I wanted to talk about because it resonated with me personally. Not that I was afraid to put my work out there, but I held myself from even starting in the first place because I'm not as good as this person. It doesn't look perfect yet. And I actually wrote a blog post on this already about it being perfect. And one day I realized that there's people out there that their work is not perfect. Their work is clearly amateur. However, guess who's getting paid and guess who wasn't?
Yes.
I was sitting back either not doing it or doing it and not sharing it and thinking it wasn't good enough to sell. And this person's out there and was like, I just learned how to sew on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they are making
someone's
money.
paying them. Yeah.
Somebody already said, here's some dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of us hold ourselves back from that. And it's like, if you want to make money from something, how is anybody supposed to know that you're doing what you're doing if you're not putting it out there? I always tell my friends, like, make sure you're pushing your stuff out there in front of all the eyeballs you can.
Yeah.
Push your stuff out in front of all the eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like really good, especially in a visual art.
Yeah. People have to see it. They got to see your work.
They can't hear about it. They got to actually see it. Because just because so-and-so thought you was good, I might not think you're good, or vice versa. So word of mouth doesn't always work like that, because word of mouth starts and then you have to actually show your work.
Yes. You have to have visual proof.
Exactly. Oh, you've made amazing points. I love this. You like saying all the right things. Did I tell you to say this?
No.
I can't. Okay, so what is some good media that it doesn't have to be only about photography, but that you learn from in general, that you find, because I hear you talk like me, you say manifest, and you say, you put yourself out there and the universe and things like that. What is the media that you consume? And please share those avenues.
I would say my biggest thing is Village. So this year, I met this wonderful lady. She's kind of my boss. So I help her with her business, which is just helping other businesses, I guess, other Black female entrepreneurs. So really, I kind of came across her. So I'll help her. I help her with some marketing and stuff. So I guess now that photography is my main thing,
you can branch out.
So another one of my streams of revenue on the side, not having a whole business, is being a digital marketing manager for this group called Sisterpreneurs. I happened upon this group because I feel like one of the biggest things is you have to find a village to get inspiration, to get advice, motivation, even like just to keep it real. Because, sometimes you're stuck in social media world and everyone's life looks perfect. And as an entrepreneur, you're not going to have perfect days every day. Like I had I'd say last year during my 32 weddings, I had 2 weeks where I could not touch my computer. Mentally, I don't know if it was a block or what. I could do the weddings. I could shoot the weddings. Editing, could not touch it. I had a super mental block, and it was frustrating because I was like, I can't do anything with these images, but I need to get them done. And so I feel like at that point, I felt like just between keeping myself so busy, I felt kind of stuck. And so this year I really wanted to find a village to get support from, to be like, hey guys, like I just need someone that understands this entrepreneur life to go and sit and have a cup of coffee with me, because I'm not going to edit, but I need coffee. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, finding your village and finding, I'm sure Makisha, I'm going to shout her out. She's someone that, like I said, I happened upon and that I help her with, but she's been such an inspiration. Even me, I've known her just a couple months, and just me like being willing to take the right steps. And, you learn, the people you surround yourself kind of ends up reflecting who you're becoming. So I think just being around people that are like-minded is one of the biggest thing.
That's so true. And like, I didn't even think that. I was expecting books and podcasts and audiobooks. And, I have to agree, because we're in groups, and we've both found value in those digital groups. But it's like the physical aspect. My first blog post was about how alone I felt trying to build myself up. And like alone as far as, not to say I need to rely on people, but to say sometimes I need that person that I can bounce a certain type of idea off of that's in my same headspace. So like, for instance, we were talking earlier about the homeschooling and things like that. So like, I needed that. And it's like having a village is important. My friends are great. My husband is great, supportive. They're all supportive, but they're not necessarily in the same headspace as I am. And they're not, you know what I mean? I might be a photographer today and they want to be helpful in all this, but it's like their headspace is not there. Today, yeah. I have that. So it's like, I think that's really important, and I love that aspect that you just stated. Please let them know if anybody wants to be on the podcast. I would love
to have so many ladies.
Yeah, I'd love to have some of your village on here. Tell them to DM me.
Yeah.
We can do these podcasts. I need, even like I said, males, if you know males in your life that are entrepreneurial and they're parents and things like that, they don't have to be single. If they are, that's fine. I don't mind. I want to hear all the parents and what they have to say. And I have to say, and as somebody that's been through both, I have to say that being with somebody, I don't care how great your relationship is, being with somebody and raising a family is difficult enough. To do it not with another person, you are the strongest person. You are really strong. I just want to let any single mom know that. My mom was a single mom. I need everyone to know single moms do everything. When my husband is gone, I feel like my head is going to explode. You know what I mean?
Hard.
And it's hard. It's hard with somebody. It's hard without somebody. It's even harder. But like, y'all are just like amazing to have a whole business and raise your kids. You're like wonderful. Like, you're amazing. I just want you to know that.
Like I have to say, like, I went through like the single parent struggle, and so I'm still technically single parent. And I feel like when you are a artistic entrepreneur spirit, like finding the right partner too is really important. And so, I found someone that supports my dream and doesn't think it's crazy that I'm trying to do it with 4 kids. So I think that's another huge blessing for this year, just finding someone that believes in me, that he's an artist too. So I feel like he understands. And so he doesn't think I'm like cuckoo for being like, you know what, I'm gonna quit my job and be a photographer.
You're gonna retire a business.
Yes.
And start
retire business, sorry, and start a new one. So
that's the verbiage.
He's been a blessing, I think. He's been a blessing, and God's been a blessing, just helping me make it through when it was just me. But it's not easy. It's not easy with kids, but I think I love your concept of raising bosses. Like, a lot of what we do is for legacy. And so, with the legacy, we are not just thinking about what we want to do and our dreams coming through. We're saying, hey, we got little ones looking at us, and we want them to have the same spirit, have the same dreams, be able to do whatever they want to do. And it could be they want to be a doctor, or they could want to own a company. I think just knowing that we have little eyes watching us is that much more inspiration.
So much. Like, I completely agree. And last but not least, my last question. I want everybody that's listening to know where they can find you and Lotus and Lily Photography.
So right now you can find me just on social media. You can go to facebook.com/Lotus and Lily Photos. So it's Lotus, the letter N, Lily Photos, and the same thing on Instagram. And so you can see some of my work up there. I'm trying a lot of different new styles, putting my stuff up. You can email me, and yes, I travel every and anywhere for photos.
What was that email address?
Lotus and Lily Photography at gmail.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I want to thank you again, Danielle, for joining me, for letting me do this interview with you, and just giving me all this good information. I'm going to have a good time editing this and putting it out there. And I want to thank you. Is there any last words that you want to say before we go?
I just have to say to all the parent entrepreneurs out there, just to keep doing what you're doing, and just keep being an example and just pushing for better life, great life, an astonishing life for you and your little ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you all benefited from what you heard today. I know I did. I can't wait to re-listen to this podcast. Make sure you share with your friends. And thank you again, Danielle, and you have an awesome day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Raising Bosses podcast. I hope you enjoyed, and please tell your friends and family. Go ahead and share this podcast on social media. If you or someone you know would like to be a part of this podcast, please email us at raisingbosses@gmail.com, or you could DM us on all our social medias, our Raising Bosses on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you and goodbye.